Hi,
Hi,
how
nice to
are
be
you?
with you. Hi, everybody.
Chuck, can you tell us where you're calling in from today?
Yep, I'm calling in from Upper Manhattan in New York City.
Cool. And yeah, would you like to do a little introduction? We'd like to learn a little bit more about you.
Sure. So, my name is Chuck. I've lived in New York for a long time now, about 10 years or so. Um, I work in film and TV. Right now, I'm just starting a new job for a Netflix show in the sustainability department. So we're working with all the different parts of the film crew to be a little more eco-friendly, reduce fuel consumption, all that sort of thing. And yeah, I'm happy to participate today. This is a really great program.
Thanks. Really appreciate you taking the time. So yeah, I'm curious, what does your typical day look like? And I know in the film industry it changes from day to day just as you bounce around to different projects. But yeah, what does a typical day look like for you?
A typical day would probably be waking up and taking the subway to either the studio or wherever we're filming around the city. Um, and a pretty long day at work. And then usually after work, I'll try to see friends or get a little exercise, get a walk in, or um, listen to music or try to see a movie, something like that.
Oh, do you have any favorite artists? Any favorite type of music?
Ooh, I like a lot of everything. Lately, I've been listening to a lot of Taylor Swift,
Yeah.
um, the Beatles, um, a lot of classical music too lately.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Very diverse. Cool. Yeah, so I'm curious, are there any specific challenges or highlights that you might face day to day?
Well, something I've been really thinking about is time management. I seem to just never have the time to do more things that I want to get in my day. Like I really want to try to do yoga, but I'll find myself I'll go, weeks at a time without getting any good practice in, or finding time to meal prep for the week and kind of get organized, or reading. That's another huge thing. I have so many books that I want to read, but I just seem to never have the time. So that's something I think I'd like to improve on in my life, is having a better way to manage my time.
And I'm curious with that time management piece, is there anything in your day that doesn't allow you to pursue some of those interests or hobbies or
Well, I guess a lot of my day is working, so that's sort of busy there. But then I have an hour on the subway each way. So I could use that time so much better, probably. I feel like usually I just sort of put my headphones in and just listen to music, but I could maybe use that time a little better.
yeah, and what time do you have to get up to go to work? And then what time do you normally get home?
It depends on the day, but usually I'm up around 7 or 8, and I'll get home in the evening.
Okay. Cool. And aside from like time management, do you have any other either like challenges or highlights in your day?
Yeah, well, another challenge that I've been dealing with is I got COVID a while back, and I got the long COVID, the some of the long-term symptoms that still linger. And so the big one is the fatigue. So I'm just sometimes I'll just get so tired. My energy sort of just drains. So it would be nice to find something in my life too that could maybe get me a little more energy or help with that fatigue. And yeah, kind of help
Yeah,
give me
no,
a boost.
that makes sense, especially as you're talking about time management and fitting all these different activities. It sounds like you're really busy with just your work schedule alone, but it sounds like the fatigue does not help any of that or like fitting those things in either.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And do you like utilize any tools or things to help you manage any of like the fatigue or time management? Um,
Well, I've tried using reminders on my phone, but the thing that I've sort of learned is that I kind of just ignore them. Like I'll set a reminder for my phone, but when it actually does pop up, I kind of just swipe it to the side and kind of ignore it. So that doesn't seem to be very helpful.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that one. Do you utilize anything else to help you, or like apps or any practices even?
I haven't really tried any apps, but I'm open to that. And then for the fatigue, my I do have a COVID doctor, and she's prescribed me some supplements and things like that. And those help a little bit for sure. And I try to avoid gluten, because I guess gluten can really make you tired when you have a sensitivity. So that's something I try to do is avoid bread and that sort of thing. That helps a little with the energy.
I'm curious. I didn't even think of this, Chuck, but thinking about like supplements or different dietary things, do you find it difficult when you're grocery shopping or to, labels to navigate those at all?
Oh, definitely. It's tough when you have to sort of check everything to see what's in it or see if I can have it or not. So that definitely makes grocery shopping more difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm also curious. I heard you say that you were going to work like in the sustainability realm with your new position, and I know it's new, but having worked in the film and TV industry before, are there elements of it that you would like to, hone in on as a sustainability coordinator that you've seen are kind of issues in the industry?
Well, I think a couple big areas that we're focusing on right now are fuel reduction and then the smaller little like plastic reduction. Um, 'Cause, for a film set, there's so many trucks, there's so many generators and trailers, that sort of thing. So we're really trying to get those to switch over to different fuels or solar power, or if they are going to use regular diesel, then just shut the engine off once in a while and that sort of thing. And another big initiative is to try to eliminate single-use plastic. The single-use plastic bottles, they just almost all the time wind up in landfills. So we try to move away from plastic and use like aluminum. And a really fun fact that I learned is that 75% of all the aluminum like that's ever been made is still in circulation because it can be recycled over and over again. So if you actually use, if you want to grab like a can of soda or seltzer or something like that, that's so much more better for the planet than a plastic bottle. So that's something we've really been working on.
I mean, those are great initiatives. I love sustainability and all things the environment. But I'm curious, like as you've been working on different sets, are people are they open to these sorts of changes, or do you have any sort of like even tools or materials that you try to regulate things on set and like what's worked, what hasn't worked?
I think a lot of people are open, but sometimes I think people can not really like change. They sort of do things their own way and they know a way that works. So it's hard for them to make adjustments. Like I remember we had this one issue where, we got rid of the plastic bottles and we made the cans available to everybody. But one of our assistant directors was giving us such a hard time and still wanted to get like a big case of plastic bottles, um, which, it kind of makes sense. You will have to keep people hydrated, and it's easy to just grab a case of plastic bottles. But we tried working with them to sort of say, look, I know this is a change. I know it's something different. And I know it's a little more difficult in a way, but there really is a good payoff. So I think most people, once they sort of see the big picture, they're very cooperative.
Yeah, no, that's good to know. I mean, thank you for that tidbit. You're on the ground working in that field, so you know more than I do. I do have two questions from teams here. Going back to fatigue a little bit. Um, are there specific times of day when your fatigue is more pronounced?
I think I found that it sort of follows more intense activity. So, say I'm, running around getting something done. After that, that's when I'll sort of get hit. Or like this past weekend, I helped a couple friends move into a new apartment. And I realized as we were doing all of that moving, it's like, oh, I'm really feeling it. I'm getting tired. So yeah, it's sort of follows physical activity, I think.
Okay. And then also, if you're able to, and I know you're very busy, but do naps or any sort of like rest for even about 15 to 20 minutes seem to rejuvenate you? Or, sometimes it makes you feel more tired.
I would say definitely. I feel like I don't ever schedule enough naps in my day, but if I when I do, they really are great. It's such a great way to sort of rejuvenate. I almost need to make a note to remind myself to do that more because that really does help.
Yeah, and I think if we go back to our icebreaker together, I think we have a lot of fans of naps in here. So cool. Thank you. Well, I think we're at time, but Chuck, I just want to thank you very much for sharing a little bit of insight into your daily routine in life, for sharing some of your experience and all of that.
Thanks for having me. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Thank